Hello everyone, this is Shockmaster again. Today's video is going to be showing you how far the Atom processor has come since, say, 2013. That's a couple of years ago. In that short span between 2013 and 2015, the processor has advanced enough to make it into tablets that are fast enough and fluid enough to actually use for sketching and painting, in my opinion. In order to show that to you, I got two tablets here. On the left is Dell Latitude 10 from 2013, and on the right is Microsoft Surface 3 that was released earlier this year. I guess it was May time frame. By the way, I have this new camera thing. It's mounted on my head. Bit of a fisheye. Trying it out. And also I have to remember, because it's mounted on my head, I gotta remember not to move my head too abruptly. Otherwise, you guys are going to be really sick and queasy watching this video. So, apologize if I do sudden head movements. I'm going to try to keep that in mind. Try to remember not to do that. But so here we go. Okay, so talking about these two tablets, the Dell was actually more expensive when it was brand new, when it launched. MSRP, I believe for. Well, the one with the Wacom tablet built in, so here's the pen I'm using right now for this demo. The pen that came with the Dell, I don't think I have that nearby. Well, I don't use that pen because it had only one button, so. Anyways, the Dell, I think came out around February of 2013. It was $650 when it was brand new, and for that $650, the configuration you got was let's see if I can move it slowly. So it would have been the Atom Z2760, and if I remember correctly, the Z2760, the 2000 series, was dual core and not quad core. 2760 went up to 1.8 gigs. I believe it went from 1.3 to 1.8, so that's sort of the range. And 2 gigs of RAM is the most that this tablet came with. So that $650 configuration was 2 gigs of RAM, 64 gigabyte hard drive, or eMMC in the case of this tablet, and came with the Wacom Digitizer for that price. So this was sort of the top of the line Atom processor rig back then, early 2013. On the right is Surface 3. This is the higher configuration, meaning the processor is the X7Z8700, but that's standard. There's no option there. And this processor goes from 1.6 gigahertz, I believe, up to 2.4. And it's a quad core. And so this is Cherrytrail. The 2760 on Dell is Clovertrail. That's 2 generations. So between Clovertrail and Cherrytrail was Bay Trail. So we're skipping that. That would have been 2014. So this is the higher end configuration of the Surface 3, meaning it has 4 gigs of RAM, 128 gigabyte eMMC, not SSD, eMMC, and the pen doesn't come with it, so it's extra, but it's $600. So I guess if you include the pen, they're about the same price, $650, when they're new. So it's pretty good comparison. You'll notice that I do have the keyboard that was $930. I got a little discount for packaging it. But yeah, I got it upside down right now. The reason being that I don't want the keyboard between me and the tablet, but I do need to use it for some keyboard, shortcuts. And that's one of the things that I kind of miss about using Wacom devices, is that I can map some buttons on here, which ultimately sort of reduces the need for a keyboard. Whereas on the N-Trig, there is no such sort of utility that comes with the driver, which means things like just getting rid of all the canvas stuff, which I use with Tab for most of the programs. That can only be done with USB keyboard or Bluetooth keyboard or whatever. So I still need a keyboard in this scenario here. And I love mapping on the Wacom stuff. I have to use the eraser. It's an inferior way to do it, in my opinion. But that's a little later. We'll talk about that. Okay. Let's see. So, well, let's talk about the difference between Wacom and N-Trig also. The Dell's using Wacom is the standard Penabled stuff, which means it's based on the UD Digitizer line, and that means it gives you up anywhere from 256 levels up to 1024 levels of pressure. It updates or pulls the sorry about that, that was my phone. It pulls the tablet, the pen and the tablet pulls each other at 133 hertz, and obviously it's capable, very capable. And the N-Trig is somewhat similar in specs, in that this is Duo Sense 2, the latest pen digitizer combo. The pressure is rated at 256 levels, if I remember correctly, which is more than enough. Anything over 128, over that is just diminishing returns, so don't get hung up on the levels of pressure. It's got a battery in it versus no batteries in the Wacom. The difference really is there's a board underneath the LCD of any Wacom device, most Wacom devices. Yeah, because now there's active ES versions, but that's fairly rare. So non-active ES, the EMR stuff that's been out for years, there's a board underneath the LCD that sends out electromagnetic waves that the coil inside the pen will reflect back. So that powers the pen, as well as gives you active location. So that makes it an active digitizer, active pen, and does that at 133 hertz. On the N-Trig side, the pen's got a battery in it, and it's the pen that actively pings out to the touch layer, telling it where it is. And you can see that it does the hovering right now. I'm not touching down, and it does it at, I believe, 120 hertz. And so that's sort of the point of difference, but it basically does the same job, right? They're both talking to the relaying the position of the pen at over 100 times per second to the computer, and giving you over 128 levels of pressure, or 256 and up levels of pressure. That's fairly the same job. It just happens that on the driver side, Wacom is more mature. Also on the software side, support-wise, it's been out longer, so all the software support Wacom's driver and hardware. And not only that, it seems like all the software has mapped their pressure curve to the Wacom's pens versus N-Trig. So if you ever use anything legacy WinTab for a software on the N-Trig, you'll feel that the pressure is not quite nice. It just goes from like soft to hard really abruptly, or it doesn't go up to hard at all, and it's a bit of a mess on the N-Trig side if you're using WinTab. Honestly, the biggest change for N-Trig happened when Microsoft convinced Adobe to start using the Microsoft API for their software. So, if you have CS6 or older, the experience with the N-Trig is not nice for as pressure. It's you can get most of the brushes it only gives you really soft, and then it just can't get up to higher range of the pressure curve. Whereas on the CC, it's using Microsoft API, so it's very nice even pressure curve. So there's hope for the N-Trig side in that more and more software will start supporting the Microsoft API ever since Adobe sort of made that switch. So in the future, it's going to be great for both sides. Right now, it's better on the Wacom side. But to compare the two, so I'm not going to use Photoshop for that reason, because I don't want a CC subscription, and I'm going to try to hold off on that as long as I can. The software I'm going to use is Clip Studio Paint. So let me get rid of these control panel things. Okay, so Clip Studio Paint on both machines. Clip Studio Paint, or it's known here in the States as Manga Studio 5, same software. And it's probably for a reason of this test, it's great for twofold. The driver supports the software supports both Microsoft API as well as WinTab for pen pressure, which means out of the box you don't have to, if you're running Windows, out of the box it'll support pressure. So you don't have to have WinTab reliance, which is great. Also, to me, has the best brush engine of any app out there. So if you want a really nice sophisticated brush stroke with a lot of features attached to it, this is the best way to go. And one of the things that it does do is that it detects every sort of nuance of what you're trying to do with the brush and the pen, and it will execute it no matter how much CPU power it sort of sucks up. Meaning, if the brush is too big and too complex for the computer, it'll just take more time to do it. And that's actually a sort of good segue to tell you about the power difference, which is sort of the topic of the video between the two tablets. In these 2 years, let me show you the typical. Let's see, typical canvas size that I would use on Clovertrail versus on Cherrytrail. So on Clovertrail, I don't know if you can see that. Let me get a little closer. Just trust me, it says 2000 by 1200 pixels. It's basically barely enough to print on 8.5 by 11 and not get pixelated. Questionable whether that's the case, but you know. So canvas, that's sort of the optimal size that I found on this machine with this configuration and this CPU for sketching fluid enough and fast enough where it's not bothering me. So you know, long and short of it is that I had this thing for a few years, couple of years. I've never really been satisfied with it as a sketching machine, and also as a tablet. It's just a little too heavy. Battery life is okay, but for sketching, it just never was good enough and fast enough. Whereas now we have this machine. I've used it for a couple months, and it's fast enough to keep up with my hand, even with the pixel that is, the canvas that is. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, but it says, trust me, it says 5,000 by 3,000 canvas. So much bigger canvas, 5,000 by 3,000. I can print that, you know, I can print that beyond the 11 by 17 and still be crystal clear. So huge difference in canvas size. I mapped both tablets to same brush, which is the chalk brush, which I like to use because it's a nice texture to it. And also the difference between the two brushes. Let me see if we can get in there. Here I have 16 pixels wide as the brush, and here right now I have set at 70 pixels. So it's a huge difference between the width of the brush, 16 versus 70. And on the Dell, that 16 is just enough. It's just enough to keep up with my hands. Okay. So, as I said, this software, if you do something really, complex with the brush path and stroke, it'll do it. It won't sort of simplify it for the purposes of rendering it fast. In my opinion, that's what Photoshop and SketchUp Pro and all other programs do. So if it's really long and complex and crazy, it'll just say, you know what, let's skip some of those little, points that the pen gave, and let's simplify and just put it out there. And so it won't have the curve. It won't be as nice, and it's they can shortcut. Whereas this program would say, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do all of it. I don't care how long it takes. What that means, well, before I get to that, so that was 16 pixels on that canvas, 2000 by 1200 canvas. Now, watch Cherrytrail, same brush, 70 pixels wide, on 5000 by 3000 canvas, okay? No problem. So, see how wide this brush is. So this is 5000 by 3000. This is 16 pixels on 2000 by 1200. So as I said, if you make it really subtle, really bold, do crazy curves, yeah, it'll do it. It won't, simplify it just to display it, but you can see that it's keeping up with my hands no problem with that giant canvas size and the brush size as well. It'll do hard to soft transition really nicely. Okay, the experience is quite nice. But what about, okay, let's compare apples to apples now. What if we crank this up on the Dell to the same level? No, let's not save that. File new, and see here. Yeah, I don't have a keyboard attached, so we're gonna have to do it this way. 5,000, 3,000. I guess resolution doesn't make a difference, but we'll just make it same anyways. Okay. And the brush size, I'm gonna crank it. Go, go, go. 70 pixels. 62. 65, 67, 68, 69, 70. Alright, cool. So, just get in there. So this is same size canvas and pen size as here right now. Okay. So you've seen how fast and fluid, right? So just circles. Right? So when you do big circles that uses the entire canvas, it does start to kind of get kind of wonky. But if you do it sort of normal speed, then it's okay. Basically, a circle is the killer that really taxes the system. Large circles. But you know, even then, it's okay. It does it. Okay, and so that's that versus the Dell. Oh, that's not good. You can see that, right? Like, okay, and go whoop, whoop, catching up, zip, caught up. That delay is fairly severe. So, you know, this is way too slow for me to be sketching, really, honestly. That's why I had that canvas really low and the brush size really small. You know, versus Cherrytrail, you know, much better. Right? So it's a huge improvement. Oof. Yeah. That's fun. Right? Okay. So yeah, I actually whipped this Dell out of the storage and the battery was completely dead. So it only works with it plugged in right now. I don't want to use it ever again. Goodbye, Dell. I won't miss you. Surface 3 on the other hand, yay! It's a pretty nice experience. The only thing really they have to fix is the sort of software support and being a, you know, actually, you know what, for my purposes, if they let me map the buttons, boy, that's it, really. Then I would happily carry only this around for most of my situations. I don't have to, you know, I also have Lenovo Helix 2, which is Wacom. I much prefer to carry that around, but it's not as nice as a tablet as this one. So I'm juggling still many different devices, but if Microsoft got I mean, it's been how long since Surface Pro 3 came out with N-Trig? Come on, let us map the buttons. It's a big deal for a lot of people. Okay, so boy, there's quite a fisheye on this camera. Oh well, it's a Sony action cam, so I guess you're supposed to capture more action. So I might return this. We shall see. Let's do some sketching. On the Surface 3, not just circles and lines, just to show you. What this thing is sort of capable of. Now the drawings, they're not gonna be really great right now because it's really early in the morning, and whatever. But I don't know if you noticed that, but I like to sketch, fast. And it's sort of the industrial design training, I suppose. I just can't. See, this is where I would be pushing the button to undo instead of tapping on-screen buttons. That's so lame. So lame right now. Ugh. Let me use the buttons on the freaking pen, for crying out loud. See, it's such a small thing on, but it's not. It's really freaking useful. Not only is it really freaking useful, I really think it sort of slows the sketching down. To hunt and pack buttons on the screen. It's what year is this? It's 2015. See, I keep pushing. So you say, well, you got the button, eraser button. Okay, so I'm holding it down there. So just to get rid of the line, I'm gonna have to do this bullshit, like up, back and forth. Oh, come on, seriously. This is not paper. This is digital. Let's maximize the potential of it. Allow us to do more things. I know it's probably not on our priority list of things to do, but boy, I think that would be, if I got that, I don't need, well, maybe that's kind of harsh, but I can kind of skip Wacom if I were to just get that from Microsoft and N-Trig. Alright, so we got a really generic looking car here, which, but just, oops, where is my friend? Okay, so, I'm just trying to show that you can do really fast and fluid sketching here on Atom tablet. Previously I would be using what is it, the Core i5 powered devices. Oh boy. Okay, so really early in the morning, the design is going to be really ugly. It's going to be whatever. I don't care. Just showing you the sketching feel more than anything else, right? It's not a design demo. It's not a sketching demo. It's just showing you how fast and fluid okay, that's enough suffering on the car. Okay, alright. Maybe a little. No. Whatever. Okay. What else? That's something really industrial designy with hard edges. Let's try some thing a little more organic. Let's see. It's been a while since I drew this properly, but okay. Screw it. Okay. You'll notice that I kind of sketch organic stuff just like, hard industrial design stuff. I guess hard habits to break. Okay, let's see. Alright. So, whatever I'm sketching, I'm not really happy unless it's letting me do it fast and fluid. So this is, huge canvas this drawing is taking is huge. Huge as, oh, see, I'm doing the undo buttons again. Oh, man. Undo buttons, I would just freaking be in heaven with undo buttons. Map to the, oh, now what? Push down, okay, alright. Let's see, there you go. Let's give him some. Yeah, this is like an old school Jurassic Park raptor with the scales and, none of that modern, awesome feather stuff here, no. Yeah, so Atom processor come a long way. I mean, and the funny thing is, Atom processor isn't even the fastest processor in that class. Meaning, on benchmarks, and in practical terms, in that less than 2 watt category, the Apple's A8X, AX, and now A9, those are way faster actually. Not way faster, but significantly noticeably faster on benchmarks. To me, which is great because that competition between all the CPU chip makers is really getting heated up. ARM processors such as the Apple's A9 is really pushing Intel to do a better Atom processor. I think that's really what made the difference between the jump between the Clovertrail and Cherrytrail here, whereas now Cherrytrail is quite useful for sketching and whatever. So I really welcome that. I really dig that, and hopefully this continues. But anything beyond this point, I think, for a CPU power goes, is really just gravy, and it's just now a matter of getting little things like this, the mapping of the pen done, and then Microsoft will, and maybe also lowering the price of $600 is without the pen is, and the keyboard is bit spendy, But then there's iPad Pro that's been announced for $700. Compared to that, it's a bargain, but let's just get it down to like $500. $500 with the pen. I won't be greedy. I won't ask for a keyboard for that price. How about that for 4 gigs, 128 gigabyte storage. That would just be awesome. But right now it's pretty good. Pretty good. Life is pretty good for us digital artists. Hopefully, this illustrates that. Yeah, that's it. I hope to give you something a little more, maybe even more interesting next time. Unfortunately, I have to buy something interesting, I suppose. But we'll talk next time, maybe about different topics, maybe comparing like N-Trig and Wacom and stuff like that. More. All right. Thanks for watching. See you next time.